What would you do, if one morning you woke up, and everything you depended on, was gone? Your job, your relationship, your health, your security. No warning. No explanation. Just, gone. That's exactly what happened to four characters living inside a maze. The morning started like any other 1,000 mornings before it. Sniff and Scurry arrived early at Station C, where they sniffed, scratched, roamed around, and inspected the area. Scurry did not overthink and didn't hesitate to take action if anything changed, and Sniff was always alert, noticing even small shifts. Meanwhile, in another part of the maze, Hem stretched lazily and Haw hit snooze one more time. Why rush? They knew exactly where breakfast was waiting. Cheese Station C. There forever. When everything was perfect. Remember when you landed that job? When the relationship felt unshakable? When your body could handle anything you threw at it? That's where Hem and Haw were living. Hem and Haw were comfortable. There's enough cheese here to last us forever, Hem declared. They used their brains and emotions. They could think and learn from past experiences. Hem was fearful and clung to the past. He believed change would only make things worse. Haw was the one who hesitated, but eventually preferred to move on. Life doesn't ask permission before it changes. Change happens. The question is, how do you deal with it? This book answers that question through a simple story with four unforgettable characters, Sniff, Scurry, Hem, and Haw, living in a maze. 4 characters. 1 challenge. Infinite lessons. Days went on the same way, but one day. The mice noticed the pile shrinking. Hem and Haw noticed nothing. As humans, we often don't, do we? Just imagine that perfect relationship. Shifted. Your health, your plans, your comfort zone. Disrupted. Sometimes you get tired while climbing stairs, small signs, big impact. Notice when your industry is shifting, AI replacing jobs, new competitors emerging. Don't wait until you're laid off to start learning new skills. One morning, Sniff arrived first, nose to the ground. The familiar scent was gone. He looked at Scurry. Scurry looked back. They both knew what this meant. Within seconds, they were racing into the unexplored corridors of the maze, already searching for a new cheese station. Later, Hem and Haw strolled up to Station C, still mid-conversation about their weekend plans. They hadn't been paying attention to the small daily changes, so they were completely unprepared. They stopped. Blinked. Stared. Hem yelled, "No cheese. It's not fair." Haw froze in shock, his mind desperately trying to rewrite reality. He had made plans based on this cheese. Sound familiar? That moment when you open the email. When you see the text. When the doctor finishes the sentence. When the world you understood suddenly isn't there anymore. Here's where it gets painful. They kept searching the empty station, somehow expecting the cheese to magically return. It didn't. Finally, Haw asked, "What about Sniff and Scurry? Do you think they know something we don't?" Hem ignored the question. But Haw thought differently. Things are changing. Maybe we need to change too. The mice saw reality and responded to reality. No drama, no denial, just action. They had noticed the supply getting smaller and were prepared for the inevitable. Someone who immediately updates their resume and starts networking finds a new job faster than someone who spends months in denial or anger. 2 outcomes to the same situation: adapt quickly. The quicker you let go, the sooner you find new cheese. Meanwhile, in another part of the maze. Sniff and Scurry were tired. Their paws hurt. They had hit dead ends and doubled back dozens of times. But they kept searching and moving. And then, they found it. New Cheese Station K. They started eating, staying alert, and knowing that someday this cheese would move too. Meanwhile, Hem and Haw remained stuck at the empty cheese station C. Haw pictured himself on an adventure, finding fresh cheese. "Let's go!" Haw exclaimed. "We've explored the maze before. We can do it again." But Hem resisted. "I'm too old for that. It's dangerous. We may get lost." Haw was growing tired of waiting. He began realizing that the longer they stayed in this cheeseless situation, the worse off they would become. A restaurant worker during COVID who shifted to food delivery apps or learned new skills stayed employed, while those waiting for restaurants to go back to normal struggled longer. One morning, standing in the empty station for the 100th time, Paul was exhausted from the endless loop. He couldn't take it anymore. Finally, he laughed out loud at himself. He had been doing the exact same thing every day and somehow expecting a different result. He gathered his courage. It was time to move. "Are you coming?" he asked Hem. "I'm too old for this," Hem replied. "What if we fail? What if we look foolish?" Smiling weakly, Paul left, thinking, better late than never. Getting assigned a project outside your comfort zone can feel stressful or exciting, depending on your mindset. The maze was dark. The journey was uncertain. But another thought cut through: what if staying here is the real danger? He took a breath and stepped into the darkness. The first few corridors were terrifying. Paul felt his fear rising. What lay ahead? Every shadow could be a threat. Every turn could be a dead end. Then something shifted. Venturing into the maze, Paul found small bits of cheese, nothing substantial, but enough to keep going. He began enjoying the journey without obsessing over what he had left behind or what lay ahead. He focused on what he could gain instead of what he was losing. He felt in control of himself rather than controlled by circumstances. Why did I always think change would lead to something worse? He wondered. What if it leads to something better? He visualized himself sitting in the middle of a pile of his favorite cheeses, a vivid image feeding his brain with hope. And then, he saw it. Cheese Station M. Little pieces near the entrance, leading to abundance inside. His heart soared for the friend he left behind. Paul raced back to Station C with new cheese and asked Hem to eat and come with him. Hem barely looked up. "I want my old cheese back. I'm not accustomed to this new stuff." Paul stood there, watching his friend choose familiar misery over uncertain hope. Sometimes you can't save people from their own resistance. Sometimes they have to find their own way past their fears. Sometimes all you can do is keep moving and hope they eventually follow. You may have gotten fit once, but maintaining it requires ongoing adjustment as your body ages and life circumstances change. Be ready to change quickly again. Paul realized a profound truth: what you fear is never as bad as what you imagine. Change had been happening all along. It only surprised him because he wasn't looking for it. Sniff and Scurry kept life simple. When the cheese moved, they moved with it. Paul would remember that. He ventured into deeper parts of the maze, noticing small changes and adapting quickly. Finally, after relentless walking, he found it, new cheese at Cheese Station N. He wondered if it was real until he saw his old friends, Sniff and Scurry. They had been there all along, nibbling away and already scanning for the next change. Paul now had time to reflect and use what he had learned to plan for the future. He had started changing the moment he learned to laugh at himself, let go, and move on. The wisdom that changes everything. Keep things simple. Be flexible and move quickly. Don't overcomplicate with fearful beliefs. Be prepared and adapt faster. Though he didn't like it at the time, Paul realized the change had been a blessing in disguise. It led him to better cheese. He had even found a better part of himself. Your maze, your cheese. So here's the question you're probably avoiding: what's your cheese station C? What are you clinging to that's already gone or going? What story are you telling yourself about how things should be? What are you too scared or too proud to leave behind? Nokia didn't adapt to smartphones. Change happens. Anticipate it. Monitor it. Adapt quickly. Enjoy it. Which one are you? Sniff, Scurry, Hem, or Haw? The adventure is waiting. But here's the deeper question: are you ready to move? The cheese will always move. Why do some people adapt quickly, while others stay stuck? It's not intelligence, it's not luck, it's identity. Because you will never outperform the image you hold of yourself. And that's exactly what psychocybernetics teaches. It explains why Hem stayed stuck, and why Haw eventually moved. Not because the maze changed, but because his self-image changed. If you want to understand how to reprogram your mind, and stop sabotaging your own growth, watch my video on psychocybernetics. Changing your self-image. That changes everything. If you liked this story, please subscribe